be frisbee golfing or frolfing. So the disc throughout the years has gone through many changes before it is what you see today. And so I've played a bit in high school and I even play it now. And I've had my fair share of just beautiful throws that go exactly where you want them, as well as more than my fair share of throws that'll go way off into the brush or even into the river. And so what I want to talk about today is how this not only represents the sport's history, as well as how important it is to the sport, it also represents the players themselves and the game. And so I'm going to talk about the history behind this sport and what the sport means to me. So in frisbee golfing, this disc is just a highly well-crafted device, and I think that speaks for the players that play it as well. And so you can see how each one of them is either a driver, a midway, or a putter, and so each specially designed with its own strengths and weaknesses, just like the players. And as well as that, each one is highly well-crafted and suited for each player, so it's stylish and creative, just like everyone who plays it. And so you can tell a lot about a player by what kind of disc they have. So obviously a person who has the most expensive, brightly and multicolored disc is a professional and should be treated as such when you approach them. And there's also the person who will always pick out the disc with the best stats. And you can tell that they are always a person who is the best and will, as such, buy the best disc, even if it means saying it goes farther and also curves faster. Then you have the person who has an old beat-up disc with some years on it. You could probably assume that they know what they're doing and have some years on them and probably could show you a thing or two. That, or they just borrow their friend's old disc because they don't really care about it enough to go buy their own. Either one. And then there's also the person who, no matter what, always seems to show up with a new disc every time you play. Now that might mean he has plenty in his great collection that he always likes to use, or he is like me, and he loses at least one or two every time that he goes out to play. And as such, has a nice stockpile in his trunk because he can't seem to keep a driver for a day. And for the history of the sport, I found that it dates all the way back to 1926 when a group of elementary kids started trying to throw some tin can lids into a sand pit outside the schoolyard. And then it took until almost the 1960s for it to be considered a modern and recognized sport, in which case they still don't have the disc you see today, but it was a bit better than the tin cans and the far cry from that. But they didn't really have an organized idea on what was the actual target. They just kind of threw it at a tree, maybe a gazebo, that lamppost would look like it might work, or maybe even a water fountain. And they just tried it out with that. And eventually the disc worked its way up to what you see now, where it can be specialized with either putter, mid-range, or driver. And you can even specialize the stats. So you got your speed, glide, hang, and fade, each of which written respectively at the bottom. And then there's what this means to me. So me and my friends used to play this all the time throughout high school. It was the only way we could probably even get everyone out of the house together. We just all hit in the group chat, say, hey, frolfing today, and we'd go down maybe Oak Grove or Trollwood or wherever. And it was a lot of fun, even though a lot of the time was just getting pissed off that we threw our disc straight into a tree that was right in front of us, that we couldn't possibly have hit that, but yeah, we did. Or, rummaging around the bushes because someone had to go throw it real far to the right, and now we gotta go look for it again. But it was always a blast, just hanging out with them, running around, arguing over which one was the next hole, because let's be honest, the Trollwood frolfing course is not particularly well set up, but it works. And I don't think I've had a much more fun time than this disc right here.